Good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to come out here first and introduce you to Libby Fanini. When the team asked us to find some good examples of clients who could share their story, Libby was the first person who came to my mind. She's very humble, so she won't brag upon herself as the way she should, I'm guessing. But we've known each other for a long time, and I've seen her just transform into this amazing leader who's helping do amazing things at IMA. But before I get to that, I'd rather have you go ahead and talk about your role at IMA. But sorry, before we get to that, let me talk about some of your experiences as well. So she has been in everything from being an account executive for employee benefits, working in Wholesale and P&C. So she brings a wealth of experience that she can share with you guys today. And so with that, can you talk more about your role?
Yeah, I thought it was really neat that Dan brought up staffing shortage. I think more and more this year I think about how I came into insurance, how probably most of us fell into insurance in some way, shape, or the other. And I first came in as an executive assistant to a producer who was a partner of a family-owned agency in the benefit space and did stuff with direct bill and auditing commission and all the exciting things that you guys think sound so cool in this room. And then moved to account management and account executive in the benefit space from there. And had anything clients from 10 life law groups to 700 life transport groups. But I am, like I think a lot of you, an efficiency nerd. And so I asked to move back internal, and thankfully IMA made space for me in the operations group for EB. And I got to just kind of do the parts of my job that I liked in ways that would help our clients and help the service team support our clients and support one another. That was at that small agency, and we were then acquired in 2016 by IMA. If any of you have been through an acquisition, that's kind of, we're all prepping our resumes and not really sure what that was going to look like, but I'm still there, so I guess it turned out well. And since then, acquisition, of course, is just a part of the business now. And when I think about IMA and just kind of what's happened within our agency, I bought stock the first year, that was in 2016, and I was telling Adam that stock is worth almost 10 times what I paid for it 8 years ago, which is insane to me when I also look at my 401k, and that's definitely not the story. But just an opportunity to see an employee-owned company that the things that we do add value, and any of us at any agency see the things that we do add value, whether it's to the client directly or to our own company and our relationships with our carriers. In that same span in 8 years, my agency helped IMA cross the threshold of 700 employees. We're now over 2,300, and we crossed the threshold to 150 million. We're now at 630 million with 800 billion in premium between retail, wholesale, MGA, advisory. So that change in 8 years, as you can imagine, is a lot of changes. And it's just, I think, keeps us on our toes and keeps us learning and growing, and opportunities to learn from one another as well with our acquisitions and key partners who've come on. Yeah,
and our companies have been working together for a long time.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about the history you have with working with ReSource Pro?
Yeah, so like I said, I came in 2016, and our benefits division already partnered well with ReSource Pro, and I think our wholesale piece came in right around that time, and commercial had done some stuff. And really what we were looking at on the benefits side was, if any of you are from benefits, do people type in $3K for deductible or $3,000? Do they add a dollar sign? How do you export that data? We were realizing we were big enough to benchmark on our own data, but the data had so much variable, it was difficult to do. We were already working with ReSource Pro, like I mentioned, and so we really embarked on this project to streamline how we enter data into our agency management with the goal of being able to benchmark our own data. It was not popular at first, but we actually have ReSource Pro for core IMA enter every client and policy detail in our system in the benefit division. Of course, as we add new partners, And a lot of those engage with ReSource Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Adam likes to say that we actually just look for ReSource Pro agencies, and then that's where we acquire.
Smart strategy.
Yeah. We already know they're good and they're thinking in the right direction. So, but we really saw improvement. But then, of course, as we add other large agencies and we partner and make key connections, they all have other ways of doing things, and they're all coming in with their own data. And so we're readdressing that, and we have large initiatives internally, not just on the data side, but on the workflow side for realignment nationally. And some of those people are here, and I'm sure those of you in the benefits track will get to meet them. Mm-hmm. Alyssa Weller, whoop whoop.
All right. Now, what is the vision that you have for IMA that you guys are going through such transformation with all these new partners? What is your vision as a company?
Yeah, I think, we're not going to slow down, and scalability is the name of the game. And like Dan mentioned, the staffing shortage, 400,000 I saw by 2026. Scalability in staffing is a huge thing, but we're not going to change. And so we have to move our mindset from tactical to very strategic. And the ability to retain our staff means they have to like what they're doing. So if we're asking them to read data in one system, enter it in a spreadsheet here, enter it into something else over here, re-enter it into right multiple times, that is kind of a morale killer. And so we've been able to partner with ReSource Pro in some really key ways. And I think I don't know if I'm am I jumping ahead already?
It's okay. I just had a follow-up question. So how are you getting your employees to buy in?
Yeah, we've had a lot of different conversations. I think it's been a long play, but very intentional. And so each market and each company that we've partnered with, we partnered for a reason, and it's because they were doing things well. We didn't partner with them because they had to have us buy them out, right? That was intentional. And so they're also bringing things to the table and bringing insights and skills that we can benefit from. So we've taken a very collaborative approach. I think it's easy in collaboration to also lose sight of the goal or a timeline, or it can be easy to just sit in the conversation forever. But it's so important to have the conversation and not direct everyone. We don't want to lose, exactly like the keynote said this morning, you have that conversation, but it has to be a safe space to bring feedback, right? And see what's broken and where and how it can be made better. So I loved that she brought that up. So in the benefit space, that's somebody from every single market in that workflow alignment project, being able to speak to that. In commercial, it's been conversations with different key team members and just, this is what we're thinking. Does that fit what you're thinking? Things that work in one market might not work as well in another market. What's profitable, what's not profitable might be different between markets. And so we have the conversation with an end goal in mind. We need to improve. We need to go through lean processing and really reflect on what we're doing and where we can get better. And then we have to make a decision as a group, and we have to move forward. So we had some great conversations with ReSource Pro, probably on commercials, probably like 2022. And just the ability to say, what's everything you guys are doing? We've worked together already. Where can we improve? And there were a lot of things in that conversation we maybe knew you did, but maybe didn't know how you did it or what the benefits were. And there were some really cool things that came out of it. And we were able to go back to that same group and go, hey, this is what we think could be interesting. This is maybe step one. Let's look at this process. Okay, maybe this is the next process we can look at and visit.
Yeah, back in 2022, we did the impact assessment at your office, met with your leadership, and from there we had so many ideas. So how did you take all those ideas and then garner the support to then move forward?
It's probably what everyone was willing to let go of at the time. Yeah. But also just the opportunity to say, this is a pain point for everyone, right? We're all, back to staffing, we're all dealing with that, and we all need to lighten the burden on the staff that we have. And so we basically came to preparation for renewal workflows and certificates as two areas we could take a lot of ground in. we had already done projects internally at IMA about centralizing some of that work. And so at that point, it became, what's a good fit for our internal pool work groups and what's a good fit for ReSource Pro? And I think we started with a very long timeline on some of that. So it's funny to look back and see, so we met in 2022. We kicked off in October, I think, of 2023 on a lot of it, where we really had to refine and document everything. And then, of course, there's always more refining and figuring out what you didn't spell out as you go. I think we had a 7-month plan. And it took us 3 months to get through our 7-month plan.
Yep. So then we signed the contract, and then
Yep.
just instantly ReSource Pro starts doing the work, right? Isn't that how it goes?
No. What? So we asked for some of those people from the core groups who already knew exactly how it should work to take part with us and be part of that monitoring, that ongoing conversation where we could improve. So we were able to just create it as a conversation. This is where we're starting. Where do you have feedback? What's not working? We're checking the work. This is what we're finding. Why is this what you're doing? And I think one of the things that was really interesting we learned was, one, we thought it was going to take a lot longer. We thought the teams were going to give us a lot more pushback on what to delegate versus what they kept in their hand, and a lot of them ended up being a lot more open-handed than we thought they were going to be. And we thought we might be fixing a lot of little things as they got up and running, especially with certs, and instead they found a couple of our cert mistakes. Don't tell our cert team, but yeah, and so I think it was just really encouraging and eye-opening for everyone of what we thought they could handle was relatively small and administrative and entry, and instead I think they really just proved up and gave everybody a lot of faith, which is great.
All right. And so then how do you measure the success of your work with ReSource Pro as it aligns to your new vision?
Yeah. I think there's so many pieces of that. I think we're really looking to be able to get feedback. And internally, I think it can be hard because we're very entrepreneurial as an organization, which is great. You get a lot of great ideas and a lot of good feedback, but it can also be really hard to standardize and get immediately applicable feedback. And so the pilot process, I think, was really good for us in the ability to get feedback from those monitoring the process and from ReSource Pro at the same time as we rolled that out and really key into conversations. So we were having biweekly conversations with teams, what's working, what's not working. A big piece was timeline and turnaround expectation, which we've had 0 issues with. And then I'm not going to call it what I called it the other day, the CID template. So the CID template, I think, was really great on the cert process, and just it really actually gave us something we'd been trying to get our arms around for a while. And the teams were really excited about that because it was a single snapshot of a lot of the key points of the policies instead of having to dig through all the policy docs and accord forms.
Yeah. One of the things that impressed me the most is how you have been able to standardize. And I know that's a word that everyone in this room is thinking about, is how to standardize.
Mm-hmm.
What was that process like internally as you were looking to align on this is the best way to handle this process? Sorry, I'm going totally off script here.
Yeah, no, I think it was a lot of conversations. And I think at times uncomfortable conversations, and sometimes people look at this and they go, does this mean we're going to lose people? Is this a threat? And that can worm its way into a lot of conversation. And it created opportunity instead to say, actually, if we standardize here, this frees up your team members to do something that's a more elevated form of work and really think and use their experience more instead of spending all this time on this processing and rote task item. But it takes time, I think, for people to be there. And I think there's that human habit to sometimes, if the conversation's uncomfortable, we have it and then we walk away. And instead to keep coming back and say, okay, now that we've thought about that and you brought up this is what we're thinking. And just keeping the door open, I think, is so huge, especially with partnerships and with a lot of great people. We have to have the door open. I'm sure there's going to be another workflow improvement process in 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And we'll rinse, repeat, and we'll keep getting better together.
Good. And what has been the most impactful part of the IMA partnership with ReSource Pro?
I think that for me, the ability to free up our people to spend time with their clients. We all, I think sometimes we can revert into the minutia because it's comfortable and familiar, but we actually thrive with the clients in a lot of capacities. So just the ability to step back from the things that can be kind of a time suck. And things that I think for us as we are hiring locally, it can be hard to engage new talent in things that are rote process. And so allowing us to still train them on those things, but delegate the bulk of the task also allows us to draw new talent into more interesting conversations. And the flip of that also is just turnover with ReSource Pro and our ability to really develop with the teams and work alongside them and see how excited they are. I think it's just, it's been a really sweet partnership.
Good. Glad to hear that.
And we had Patrick before. We're getting over it now that we have Michael and Adam, but it's good.
Thanks. I wouldn't look as good in those shorts, so. Well, Libby, it's been just amazing to watch the transformation that you've brought to IMA, and you've been instrumental in leading it. So we just want to thank you for being able to share your story with everyone here.
Thank you.